Important and imperative don't mean the same thing, but the two words that every single person in this room uses, every one of you does this, you're all guilty. The two words that you use, and you think they mean the same thing, are the words truth and accuracy. Because you think they mean the same thing. They say it on television. Is that really accurate? But truth and accuracy have nothing to do with each other. Now let me give you an example. Suppose I pull out here a chair, and it's a machine, and it's got a digital readout on top of it. And I tell all of you, this is the most accurate scales ever made. And then I grab this lovely lady right here, and I say, sit down on it. And she does, and it says at 9 decimal points that you weigh 300 pounds. You're a little embarrassed. You're going to go, no more donuts for me, right? And then she goes and sits down, and I sit on it, and it says I weigh 300 pounds to 9 decimal points. Can anyone in this room tell me, is the following statement accurate? Together, we weigh 600 pounds. Well, the answer is yeah, it's completely accurate, because 300 and 300 is 600 no matter where you are. Whether you're from India, from Turkey, China, it doesn't matter. But what do we all know? It's not true. Because we know, she doesn't weigh 300 pounds, and unless my butt's solid lead, neither do I. So we can say, Mark, your scale is wrong, but you only know that by experience. You know what 300-pounders look like. They're big. But what if I wheel in something else and I tell you it's a Reva-Shram, and they're $1 each, and I got 1,000 of them? What's my inventory? The accurate answer is $1,000. What's the real answer? I don't know. The problem that happens is auditors all the time are auditing Reva-Shrams. They don't even know what the hell they are. I've actually seen an auditor. I said, what does this company do? He said, I don't know. I just put check marks next to numbers. I mean, I can always tell when an accountant's been in the room. There's check marks everywhere. And there's footnotes. Always footnotes. It's impossible to lose a footnote, right? What's the definition of good work papers? Anybody know? Ones that look like last year's. And we fraudsters use that against you. We use that predictability against you. So I don't have to outsmart anybody. All I have to do is convince you to be manipulated. I basically find out what is the lowest possible denominator you'll let me give you in information or documentation, and I get it to you. And then you're stuck with it forever. You can never say to somebody, look, Mark, last year I let you go without all of your inventory documents, but this year I have to have them, because that's your way of saying, last year I was a crappy accountant. Once you set a benchmark, that's it. You can't go back on it. And so all I'll do is, if you're a stickler and you ask for a ton of paper, or you're lazy and you ask for a little bit, or you're in the middle, I'll give you just what you want. But the other thing I'll do, and fraudsters always do this, we lower your expectation. Now, if any of you remember when Bush and Gore debated back in the first election? A lot of people said to me, George Bush won that, even though Gore was a better debater and actually forensically won the debate. But everybody had such a low expectation for Bush. They thought if this guy can pronounce Kazakhstan and he doesn't wet his pants, he's going to win. And he did. Now, what'd they do to poor Al Gore? Al Gore is the greatest debater since Frederick Douglass. So he had to come across looking like an idiot. Remember, Tipper Gore is the only person that goes to bed with a statue, too, but by lowering the expectation. Now, so I remember when a senator named Sam Ervin handled what was called the Watergate before any of you were born. And he used to open up the hearings by saying, well, I'm just an old dumb country lawyer. And if anybody ever said, grab your wallet and run. Whenever somebody tries to impress upon you how stupid they are. But notice by telling people, so instead of trying to show off how great I am to another accountant, I'd go, I don't know what an asset is. I don't know what a debit is. What's a credit? How come balance sheets don't, I don't get it. A guy says, Mark, do you factor your receivables? I go, I don't know. Do I? I said, the only word I knew is I said, I'm aging my receivables. They're in the humidor. I'm waiting for them to get ready. So what happens if you're an auditor? Say you come to my company to audit Z-Best. Now, I know two things about you. I know you don't know diddly about business because you just got out of accounting school and you don't know what's going on. The guys who do know about business are back at the office, and you're getting your audit experience. And half of what you're going to learn from me. I go, oh, this is the way they did it last year. Oh, okay, thanks. Appreciate it. Or I'd say, well, they never asked for that before. Oh, well, then I guess I don't want it. And I know that those people are now, I'm recruiting them to be apologists for me. They go back to the office, and a senior partner at Ernst goes, how come Mark's paperwork is so bad and late, and he can't find it? And they'll argue for me. They go, well, Mark's an idiot. He's a great businessman. He makes $6 million a year in salary, but the guy's an idiot. He doesn't know anything. I ask him for invoices. They're all over the office. They're in his trunk of his car. They got coffee stains on them. Mark's an idiot. But he pays us $2 million a year, so I guess he's our idiot. Now, I do the exact same thing with the bankers and the lawyers. I don't have to worry about them comparing notes. Why? Because the bankers and lawyers can't bill each other, so they don't talk to each other. You ever notice that? Somebody calls me, Mark, call your lawyer and ask him. I go, why don't you call him? Well, I can't do that because I can't bill him. I have to bill you. So by knowing that the accountants, number one, don't talk to each other, they certainly don't talk to the bankers. They all hate the lawyers. I'm sorry. They just, you pompous guys, And so I never have to worry that anyone's ever going to say, wait, the emperor does have clothes on. Maybe Mark is smart. And every fraudster does not try to impress you with how smart he is. We do the exact opposite. And we walk away going, I know I'm smarter than you think I am. Now I've got it made. And now I'll get you to do what I want you to do. And I lower that expectation every single time. Now, I'm going to throw another word at you that people who study accounting maybe need to really think about hard. Look, I didn't know anything about accounting. I was a physics major in college and a history major. I went to UCLA for 10 years. I got bachelor's and master's in both of them. But I know nothing about accounting. I even once tried to date an accountant. I went up to this girl. I said, hey, you want to go out? And she said, it's tax season, you idiot. And I went, I remembered winter and spring and fall, but they skipped tax season where I came from. And then she goes, oh, I'm sorry. She goes, call me after April 15th. I said, oh, yeah, you're on the callback list. Mm-hmm. But one thing I liked about accounting was it always comes out right. Your patient never dies on the table. You go, accountants will go, look, we have a problem. There's a number missing. Let's roll up our sleeves because it's here. We'll find it. Da-da-da-da. You put on the coffee. You go home. The balance sheet balanced. Hooray. No unanswered questions. Well, that's not true at all. The world is so not black and white now, it's almost ridiculous. What I told Bill earlier is Enron had 3,000 partnerships. 6 of them had little tiny technical things that were illegal. And they were tiny technical things. Little things like they guaranteed the investors input with their stock, which they're not allowed to do, but they did it in some pretty clever ways. The story of Enron is not what they did that's illegal. It's what they did that's completely legal. And right now, I'll tell you, I talked to guys at the FBI. They think it's a coin toss that Lay will walk. They really do. They think it's that close. He might have hurt himself on the witness stand, but can you imagine? But I remember one time during an interview with Jack Welch, somebody said, you've got over 700 factories. Did you visit all of them? And Welch goes, well, no. And they go, how do you know they really exist? Well, come on, GE exists. I know it does. They pay me a lot of money. But the simple truth is, unless you see, feel, touch, and smell, or even a few other things, you don't know. And you've got to ask yourself, what questions do I need to ask? Because the word I want to scare you with is the word perception. Perception's the scariest word around. Bill can tell you, they get 2 cases, and they go, how will this one be perceived? He even told you flat, we want to send a message. We sent a message. Arthur Anderson had a 9-0 Supreme Court reversal, but it's a little too late, isn't it? They're already dead. 29,000 people lost their job. Now the Supreme Court says, oops. And the prosecutors go, but we sent a message, and boy, did that message get out. We now have Sarbanes-Oxley. You know how many frauds that law is going to find? None. Because it looks in all the wrong places. It's too late. once you analyze last year's report with this quarter's report. It's too late. The fraudster's in the Bahamas drinking a drink with an umbrella in it. It's too late. You've got to be proactive and find it now. And what? Did any of your professors tell you that you had to be little cops, little Inspector Clouseaus and find fraud? No, they won't tell you. But you have to. You know why? Because in every one of these court cases, who pays the fines? Z-Best. I ripped off companies for $4 billion. Ernst & Winnie paid $700 million in fines. Not me. I didn't pay any fines. They paid me to testify against me as an expert witness. That was the best job I ever had. What I didn't know, I could make up. Who's going to contradict me? Me? Great schizophrenic joke. I'm having a good time, and so am I. So the whole point is that's where the buck stops. And they'll say, you have little initials after your name. You have a license. You're supposed to find this stuff, right? You didn't do enough at Pete Marwick, right? They go, yeah, you followed these, and maybe we can't even connect the dots. You didn't do enough. And who's going to decide whether or not you did enough? 12 people who couldn't get out of jury duty. That's who's going to make your decision in your life. That's why, to answer this one kid's question, that's why the prosecutor said, we're not going to sit here and try to explain derivatives and special purpose entities, because we don't understand them. How's the audience going to understand them? If you don't think perception is the most important word, I've just got two words for you. Martha Stewart. Now, I hope you'll back me on this, but every federal prosecutor I've talked to has said they never could have gotten Martha Stewart on insider trading. So what did they get her for? They got her for lying. And I think that's what they're hoping they can do with Skilling. They're just going to make it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. You lied to investors. That's fraud. Now, I'll give you a couple other names. Some you maybe have heard. Has anyone here ever not heard of Leona Helmsley? Does anyone not know who she is? Okay. She's a woman whose husband was a multi-billionaire, and she owned a bunch of hotels. And she underpaid her tax. She owed $52 million in taxes, and she paid 50 of it. So she underpaid her taxes by 4%. Do you go to jail for that very often? Almost never. But she went to prison. And you know why she went to prison? Because she's a bitch. That's why she went to prison. You know how I know that word's right? That's what the jury said. They go, that bitch. I don't care what she did. She said to her maid, we rich people don't pay those taxes. Only poor people pay taxes. That's the direct quote. Thank you. Well, so she went and spent 5 months or something like that, a year or some crazy thing. Now, that same year, a guy named Willie Nelson. How many have never heard of Willie Nelson? Yeah, I mean, I know we're in Ohio, but Willie Nelson owed $17 million in taxes. Guess how much he paid? Nothing. You remember reading about him going to jail? No. You know why? Everybody likes Willie. The government just said, go do some concerts and pay us. We'll even waive the fees. And now he's on the road again, and he's out there doing it. Solely because the perception of those people. Martha Stewart went to jail for only one reason, a perception. The government wanted to have people perceive even the rich people go to jail. She lost $800 million by going to jail. How'd you like to look at over $30,000 she made on M-Clone stock? How'd you like to look in the mirror and go, well, that was a good trade-off. 30,000, 800 million, 30,000. Oh, but that's why she went to jail. Now, how do you find truth when your body has been taught for years to just look for accuracy? Let me ask you, how many times has a major fraud been discovered by the accountants? Never. And how many of those did they get the blame for? All of them. So let me ask you, if you follow SAS 82, 93, 205, if you follow GAAP, will you find fraud? Of course not. Because those things are designed to find accuracy and not truth. You've got to ask questions. And the best way to get to the truth is to ask questions that I believe go into the following pattern. I call them Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, and Tier 4 questions. A Tier 1 question is a simple why question to which the answer is almost always very plausible. Why did you buy that chicken stock? I've been following their financial statements, and I got lucky. Could be true, right? Could be true. Somebody follows financial statements somewhere. But then